say, my people. My people. Say, my people. My people.
Hello, my name is Deborah Ogwama, and I am the founder of Creating Unity in a Community. And since 2009, we celebrate African and Pan-African to strengthen the movement and bond of solidarity through the practice of Kwanzaa culture, ancestry, and traditions. Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Saba, reinforces a lifestyle honoring family values, humanitarian dignity. Our activities strengthen the values and skills of social activism, education, and leadership for our youth from generation to generation. We unite with performers and vendors and speakers to honor the ancestors by acknowledgement of libation for unity in the community. I always say we have a choice for change and accountability to rejuvenize our community. So saying all of that, welcome back. I've been away for a minute, but I have a very, very special guest today that I met years ago, and he was formerly known today as with Black Lives Matter, but now Mr. Walter Hawk Newsome will be talking about his new program and about the big things that he's been doing in the Bronx since that he's been on a spiritual journey all around the globe here, and now he's back in the Bronx to talk about his school and all of the things that he's been doing as an activist in our community. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I just got to say this, that on behalf of everybody in the Bronx and worldwide, you are the gatekeeper of Black culture in the Bronx. Like, you are the person who makes sure that Juneteenth is honored correctly by our people, that we honor and celebrate Kwanzaa the right way. And I can't think of anyone out here who does the things that you do. So I know that we do a lot of thankless work fighting for Black liberation. I just want to say thank you personally.
Thank you. So let's hear about your endeavors, the activism that you've been doing, and also putting forth a brand new school here in the Bronx, something that a lot of people would have never ever dreamed of doing or cannot do, but you're doing it. So talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, Black Lives Matter Greater New York was who we are. We were the most impactful Black Lives Matter group in the country. Mm-hmm. But we were not affiliated with the global network. Actually, we had a confrontational relationship with the global network. And now we've transitioned into Black opportunity, something that we control, something that is our vision, something that fights for Black liberation from the ground up. Black Lives Matter is very much top down, like we're going to go after the president, the government, these corporations, but now we're focused on our community. Mm-hmm. We're holding workshops to educate our people. We've fed over 70,000 people in the past 3 years, and we've opened our school. We opened our school in the middle of the George Floyd riots, right? Uprising.
Okay.
And it started out as a Montessori school. Mm-hmm. It's important to note that we have the only true Montessori school in New York State that is free.
Okay.
A lot of your viewers would have wealthy friends or affluent friends, and they've heard the term Montessori school before, but people in the hood are not familiar with it. This is how the rich teach their kids. The approach is a child walks up and picks an activity, and you teach that child that day. So a child is learning the way from something that he wants to learn from, and it's very much children-centered. It's not the institutionalized learning that a lot of people are accustomed to. And our school is Wildflower Charter School. It's Wildflower New York Charter School. It's on 169th and Fulton Avenue in the Bronx. A lot of you know that as Children's Circles building. And Gloria Austin, who ran Children's Circle for over 30 years, has handed over the keys of the building and all of the institutions inside to Mario Banabi, who is a co-founder of, a core member of Black Lives Matter New York, co-founder of Black Opportunities, and the executive director, aka principal of that school.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is some of the curriculum that the children are learning in this school, in this area?
We have kindergartens that are doing multiplication.
Okay.
And they learn it's an indigenous method. Mario took a year and went and studied on a reservation in New Mexico. So there's like these beads. And somehow these kids are learning multiplication and how to count from these beads. We are very much centered on Black history. Our kids could tell you who Fred Hampton is, Rosa Parks, before they could tell you about, some white Patrick Henry or George Washington type of person. We focus on uplifting Black heroes. The school is centered in Black liberation.
Correct.
But if you want to go straight academics, we put our kids up against anybody in the city. Right? And we believe what Malcolm X believed, that only a fool would let his enemy educate his children.
Right.
With that being said, there is not a white face in our entire school.
Right. And do you know, like some other people, like, I don't know if you ever heard of the East, and years ago, what they were also doing in Brooklyn, and also a friend of mine, Dr. Umar Johnson, and what he's trying to set up right now as we speak in August, hopefully to open up his school as well and have it really Black centered, because we know when we tell the truth or teach our children the truth about our history, it's not to denigrate or put anyone, but we have to understand where we came from, because a lot of it has been stripped away time after time after time. I mean, on every sector, whether it's health, whether it's our culture, whether it's our names, whether it's the traditional things that we do normally every day that other people have brought over to this country, we lost and we don't have. So that's why it's so imperative that, we really start teaching our children. Right now that I am the New York State Director for Juneteenth Observance Foundation,
Kudos.
we have also, thank you, we have a Juneteenth 101 curriculum that we're also trying to push forward as well. And it's teaching about American history, which is really our history, because if we built this country and we understand a lot about what it took in order to encapsulate this country, then why not have these things taught in our school? And to me, some of it, this is why we're facing a kickback with a lot of people in different states trying to create laws, because again, it's going to bring up uncomfortable conversations that we need to have. I mean, everyone should understand and know our contributions, but a lot of times we're not being funded as well. So talk about that.
Well, one of the reasons why we raise about a couple $100,000 a year. Most of our donations, 50 to 60%, are small dollar donations. We do not receive corporate money. We do not receive money from the government. Why is this? People will not fund a movement that will overthrow them. People will not fund a true revolutionary movement. So, you'll have people like, I don't want to bash Black people, but you have those kumbaya people who show up and say, the only way we get to liberation is peace, and we must unify with everybody. And they say all the things that might make white folk comfortable and make Black folk feel like all they have to do is show up and vote. Like it's a facade. Black people want liberation. They're going to have to work. They're going to have to teach their children. We cannot rely on Governor DeSantis of Florida to teach Black kids of Florida. We need to design curriculums for our children so that we can teach our children. I'm calling out all parents to get involved in their kids' education because this system is intentionally failing them. Right? You look at the Bronx, and I'm talking about the Bronx, I'm talking about New York, which is blue, 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 blue. Democratic from top to bottom, but here in the Bronx, we got an 80% dropout rate for our kids. 90% of the black kids and brown kids that go to college from the Bronx are in remedial classes. So right now, the parents got to take control of it, and we will help. We will help in whatever ways we can. So, you know, it's hard. You can't do much with a couple $100,000 when you think about groups who are tied into the Democratic Party to receive $27 million, right? A lot of people say, well, you were part of Black Lives Matter. When Black Lives Matter got that $90 million, you think I got that? Right? If you give me $90 million, you're going to see some land ownership, you're going to see a bunch of schools, you're going to see some tanks and a lot of armed black people. Right? Like that's what I'm going to do with this. This is what I'm going to do with that $90 million. But we have some people who believe in us, some people who fund us, and we always find a way to make a way.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Right. And I also wanted to just mention, too, is that it impedes upon every aspect of our lives because whether you're talking about proper nutrition and why we don't have them, you know, supermarkets that have fresh fruits and vegetables free of pesticides, when we talk about, you know, going to the doctor and all of a sudden you find out that black women have a low mortality rate in conceiving children, and then you talk about higher education, but all of it, a lot of it also impedes upon, you know, our elected officials and who we have in office as well. And when they do not understand the disparities that's really going on here in the Bronx, then they can't do anything better. When people are not aware or people don't know, they don't even know how local government functions because they don't attend their community board, or they're not encouraged or inspired to go as well, because if they don't, then that means more money in their pockets as well, okay? When you know that you're not hiring competent teachers, when you're not hiring professional doctors that are really here to do full examinations or full tests, when you're only just going in there and they're giving you a prescription for another drug that's going to impede upon you. This is why education is so desperately important, because it really affects every aspect of our lives. And I just wanted to shout out, or just not shout out, but just to talk about, just to say a little bit about our politicians that are not doing their job here in the Bronx. And I challenge anyone, they're getting a salary, they're getting publicity, they're getting prestige or whatever to do a particular job, and they're not. And you keep electing the same people over and over, knowing that they are not competent enough to fully provide the services that is needed. And it comes all the way up. The borough president, Vanessa, okay? Vanessa Gibson, Amara Fargas, Raphael Salamanca, Miss Reyes, my assembly person, Kenny Burgos, Adriana Brigatti, Louis Zapatero, or Louis Sepulveda as we used to call him, Gustavo, AOC, and Richie Torres. That's in my district alone. And every time I've done any programming or any community events, these people do not fund, they don't show up, and then they wonder why the statistics or people are shooting each other. They wonder why they're failing with their children. They wonder why. But they wonder why because you are not funding the programs that we really need, or you're not funding the non-for-profits and the people that's helping them. If you can't fund them, then support them. You don't even come out to support them.
Well, let's start with, we can say Vanessa Gibson, right? Vanessa Gibson caters to Spanish people in the Bronx, Latino people in the Bronx. That's her demographic. If you're black, she really doesn't care about your issues or what you have going on. It's a numbers thing. She keeps Spanish people happy. They are the biggest demographic in the Bronx. They vote more. They vote her into power. She had, when she was on city council, public safety. In that time, police were brutalizing us. In that time, the Coptic murdered Eric Garner still had a job. She did nothing about that. Anybody on that list, no one on that list has spoken out against the fact that Mayor Eric Adams has brought back stop and frisk. That 25% of the thousands of police stops were unconstitutional. And 97% of the people they stopped were black and brown men. So right now, the NYPD is terrorizing our communities in an unconstitutional way with stop and frisk, something that was found to be illegal and harmful, both physically and psychologically, and nobody on that list has done nothing. AOC, we were the first group in New York to endorse her. When AOC got that endorsement, she could walk into any room and say, Black Lives Matter endorsed me. She would march with us while we held up signs that said, F the police. We demand accountability. She was right there with us. But when we called on her, when she was in office, she had put a white boy from the Midwest on the phone with me. And he told me she would come out, but she doesn't want to seem anti-police. We called her out to get the cop to kill Eric Adams fired. She said, I can't show up to the press conference, but I can send out a tweet. What's problematic for me is whenever we needed her when she was running, we're in her little documentary, she was there, right? But once she got under Nancy Pelosi's wing and she forgot about us. We as a community have a habit of electing very popular people and letting them treat us like their royalty and we're their subjects. The nature of their job is a public servant. They're here to be of service to the public. We control them. We pay their salaries. They are beholden to us, but they don't listen to us because we don't make them, which is one of the reasons in our classes we teach political theory. And we give people a political education.
Right, and I also had...
Can I say one last thing?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
We started a program. Mayor Eric Adams said, if you love Black lives, you'll stop the violence. We started a program. We went to the most violent neighborhoods in Harlem. We decreased crime by 40%. 40%. And we did this by bringing out little grills, books, love, activities for kids. We aimed it all at the kids. We did all of that. And no politician on that list anywhere else has offered us money to do it again this year. Meanwhile, kids, old people, everybody getting shot. And we figured out how to decrease crime by love. You can look at the stats. They spiked once we sent the message out on social media and went into the streets, and nobody gave us money to do it again this year.
No, because they don't want that solution. Okay, my background is in social work, and you don't have all of the disciplines coming together. You have to have the whole family, the parents, the law guardians, the teachers, the parent teachers, and so on and so forth, in order to really combat the problem. But again, they do not want that solution. They know about all of these other things and above, but to me, it's always a numbers game. So if you're not involved in it, it's increasing their numbers. They don't have to spend that money in the community. I always tell people our community boards get the same amount of money as 96th Street or 86th Street or 61st Street in Madison. We get the same budget. It's what we do with it, and we're not doing anything with it. And collectively, we don't come together because it takes all of us to come together. Where in other affluent neighborhoods, it may only take 4 or 5 people to come together. But in our neighborhoods, we have to come big and bold, and we are afraid a lot of times too. So I just would like to conclude. Where can people find you, and what do you think some of the solutions should be for us here in the Bronx?
Well, for us here in the Bronx, we're going to find a way to do what we did last year, the Summer of Hope, to stop the violence. We're going to go into the roughest, toughest neighborhoods and spread love and aim it at the kids. When you hear about block parties and parks getting shot up, those are adults getting drunk, twerking, partying, smoking weed. We're talking about focusing on the children.
Right.
When it's about the children, people don't wild out. There ain't no violence. So we're going to do that. We don't have help, so we need help. You can go to www.theblackopts, that's THEBLACKOPTS.com. That's our website, and donate. We need about $100,000 to get it done here in the Bronx. And we're also going down to Chicago, to O Block, which is the epicenter of gun violence in our country. And we're looking for money to do it there for the month of August. So we want to do the Bronx, Harlem, and then O Block in August. We are going to show our people how to stop the violence in our communities and put it out there so people can mimic it. We do our Juneteenth every year. We do our bouncy houses. We had a stage, turkeys for Thanksgiving, toys for Christmas. That's this nice stuff. We're going to hold weekly rallies in the street when it gets too cold. We'll bring those indoors. Folks could attend. We also hold workshops to teach people how to organize. Like, your landlord's giving you trouble. Here's how you bring people together. You have a problem with the schools, we'll show you how to organize around that. And obviously, police brutality, we're not going to let up. And there's no way that we're going to allow Eric Adams to be elected as mayor again. This man is a sellout. Many people will call him a coon. You can block that out if you want to. But this man is no good for poor New York or black New York. And we have to do away with him. What we have is a black Giuliani, or my sister would say a bargain basement Giuliani, and he got to go. We need somebody who's about the people, who will pull back this unconstitutional behavior by the NYPD. You have videos I get every week of white shirts, executive captains of the police department punching handcuffed people. This is where we are as New York. And none of these politicians that you listed or none of the other ones are talking about it. So we got to take control of this ourselves. The most basic premise in black opportunities is only we will save us. Ain't nobody else coming.
Most definitely. And I also believe, too, that you have to change the hearts and minds. And once you change that negative thinking, people are willing to do a lot more positive things for us in our community. But again, if not this mayor, then, we also have to fund other young people in order to run for public office, because if we just want other people to replace them with the same old things, because some of these people on this list, they were just replaced, okay? They haven't done, and I also left out the district attorney for Darcel as well. And I don't even want to get so far into that, because we already know the history and everything else. But when you have these opportunities and you don't take advantage of it, I don't know why people don't understand that. So again, I appreciate all that you're doing here in the Bronx, but we also have to look at who are we going to fund or encourage or support to get in office, because everything still revolves around the political arena, whether we want to say it or not. And everything revolves around the funds and the monies and the services that go into our community. And when we don't have them, we truly do suffer. And I don't like to use the term ghetto or whatever the case may be, but you're creating it. We're creating those disparities when we sit back and we don't do anything. So I urge people that's watching this, you need to take control of your community. And it starts out with the community board. It starts out showing up to the parents-teachers meeting. And and you also have to take criticism. You have to take criticism, because if you have exhibited things that is no morality, no values, no ethics, you have to take criticism. Nobody's here to hurt you. Everyone has to be accountable for something, and not to be accountable or saying it's not my problem. It is your problem, because when you're not doing what you need to do for your children, that child affects your family. That family affects the community, and that community affects everyone around. And it's like a snowball effect. When you're not doing that, then you wonder why so-and-so is shooting so-and-so, so-and-so is killing so-and-so. That person that's killing somebody is possibly somebody in your family that you could have been speaking up and talking up about, but you haven't. So I'm urging people. So again, let's wrap it up. Where can people find you on social media?
Elder Ogama, you just inspired me. Thank you for that. Folks can find me on Instagram.
Okay.
That's Hawk, HAWK, .NEWSO, M as in Mary, E. If you have an emergency, this little Malcolm X phone, where my daughter put the butterfly on it, this cell phone number is 718-433-8343. That's my cell phone number. If you need us, we there. And we are accessible. We're not politicians hiding behind offices and secretaries. You call us, we're going to show up and help our people out.
Great, great. And I'm so happy to have you once again, because you've showed up for so many of our Parkchester annual concert events. And like I said it earlier when I opened up, I met you during Deborah Dana, and to me that really hit home, because me being a social worker years ago, we used to have to call up when we had people that had mental illness. It was called emotionally disturbed person.
EDP.
EDP. You call in an EDP and not a police officer or a sergeant coming with force, because they knew when you called in those cases that they were taking them to get help at a psychiatric facility. They knew that. That's their training. They knew that. So you know what your training was, and you refuse to adhere to it and to acknowledge it, then again, we have to continuously call you out.
Absolutely.
So in a way, I'm thankful for them, because it brings more work and more motivation to what I do, because I'm not going to stop doing what I do, and I'm quite sure you're not either.
Never.
Never. Okay.
So my people are free.
Right, and we always need activists in our community. We always need people that speak up and speak out. We also need people, that have these platforms in order to really put forth some change.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you so very much for being on my show, Creating Unity in the Community. So like me, subscribe, and follow me on my Instagram account, on my YouTube channel, and of course on BronxNet. Thank you so much.
Power to the people!
All power to the people!
Okay, when I say what do we want, you say unity in our community. Unity in our community. You ready?
Yeah!
What do we want?
Unity in our community!
Say it louder. What do we want?
Slum valedictorian. When I bless, I get fresh like Praetorians. I hit them with the African heat, sub-Saharan. Casinos in my section, we call it a cesarean. A force of a galloping horse, no Sagittarius. Clandestine, guided by my ancestors. Shark Tank, spark an idea, get mad investors. Cameroonian, Liberian anthems. Whole team shady like Nigerian bankers. Used to have anger issues, now I let the slang hit you. When the music got you traveling lands, then it's official. I'm a survivor, came a long way from the bottom, and now I got it. Sip coladas in Addis Ababa. Modern day Garvey, Marcus, Logic, the richest continent. Coming together, we marching. It's for my people.
Say it, say it, say it. My people. My people. Say it, say it, say it. My people. My people.